Welcome back to the show, Julianne.
Thank you for having me.
So remind me, what is your? I say welcome back because you were on 3 years ago. Right around almost the exact same time. It was like roughly around 3 years ago.
Mm.
When I first started my show. What's your sober date?
September 1st, 2016. I
September
just
1st, 2016.
mhm,
So you just celebrated 8 years then.
did. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What was going on October or August 31st?
Back then?
Yeah.
Okay, back then. August 31st. We should go back to August 30th, really. I got off the train, and I had already had my DUI, so I was no longer driving anymore. My husband was picking me up and dropping me off at the train. So I got off the train, and my connect met me on the platform because I said, my husband's picking me up. He can't see it. And she was like, all right, I'll meet you on the platform. We'll give each other a hug and we'll, pocket each other the money and the drugs. And I was like, cool. So we did that and I got a bag of Xanax. And the funny thing is that I had been like dry for like 2 weeks because of the DUI. I was like really trying to stay off of everything. And a random number had texted me and it was somebody that I had stopped buying off of because they had moved. But it was somebody my mom introduced me to, funny enough. But anyway, her son got locked up and she was just fishing. She was trying to make bail money. And my mom had already gone to her at one point and said, like, mother to mother, like, stop selling my daughter. And she did. But she needed to get her son out of jail. And so she sold to me. And that night I went home. And that whole night, every time I woke up, I just like took another couple. And you never just take one. So I don't really know how many I had taken. But I know I was up, like tossing and turning. My husband woke me up to get out for work. And he said I was moving super slow. He's like, I should have known something was up. And so this is August 31st now. And now I'm leaving to go to work with a bag of Xanax and I'm sucking on a fentanyl patch. I go to work like this, like I'm not big. And then I was even smaller. So I really don't know how many Xanax I had taken, but like there's no reason I should have been alive when I got into rehab. And the nurses they made very sure to show me that and to try to show me like, girlfriend, like you got a gift here, like try to live. Because at that point I still was gonna like leave rehab and just hide it better. I was not getting better yet, and they were trying to show me, they're trying to anything. So I go to work, and I couldn't really tell you what happened. I don't know, honestly. Like I don't have a lot. I don't have a memory of that morning. I know that I was woken up at my desk because I had just fallen asleep at my desk at work, and I mean, who wouldn't on those drugs? How was I fucking breathing? So I'm sleeping. I don't know how long I'm sleeping for. I don't know who notifies who. And like I get a tap on the back. And I don't really know. I guess I'm groggy. The next thing I know, like I'm in the manager's office and they're asking me if I take medication. And I said, what do you mean do I take medication? And they were like, you were just sleeping at your desk. And I said, I want my union rep and nothing else. And so I talked to my union rep because I'm no fucking dummy. And my union rep was one of us. And he said, you want to save your job? I needed money to buy drugs. So I said, yeah. And he said, go to rehab. So I went to rehab. And they were like, he's like, you're going to go to the clinic. You're going to be pee tested. You're going to see the doctor there. They're going to, they didn't say anything about, maybe they did. I don't remember, but I didn't know that they were going to call my husband. Like this didn't even like enter my brain until I got to the clinic and they were like, we already called your husband. And I was like, oh my God. Once he knew, it was like dad knew, God knew, like, Oh my God, that was the worst possible thing. Like, just kill me instead, please. It's the same thing with my DUI. It was like, just kill me. Don't even call him, please. So they take me to the clinic and they're like, this will all be all confidential, and I get P tests and all that, and then I went to treatment. And while I was in there, I had a moment of clarity. Probably like two weeks in, I was there for 3 weeks, 21 days. I had a moment of clarity between, I guess I had 2 moments of clarity. I had a one-on-one therapist who heard me when I said, I can't do AA and I can't get past step one. I can go to meetings, but I'm not doing any fucking steps because I can't get past one. And he knew, like, I'm not getting through to her with this. Like, this is not her thing. There's no point in trying to with her. So he said, like, well, there's this program called Refuge Recovery. It's a Buddhist path to recovery. Like, check it out. Like, all they ask you to do is, like, trust the process and do the work. And that I could do. So I was like, okay, cool. So, but really, like, Buddhism, you're fucking kidding me. They tried to get me to do, like, meditation there. And I was like, you think meditation is going to, like, cure my opiate addiction? I thought it was absolute insanity. But I respected the guy. He gave me a lot of his time. And so I read the book. And between that and this other moment with a really young kid, like, I just had this moment of clarity. And I'll tell you about that moment in a minute because it's important. But after that, I got up and we weren't allowed to make, like, phone calls. We didn't have payphones or anything like that. We had to go to somebody to actually make a phone call. In that moment, I knew if I don't make this choice right now to call home and tell Jack where all the fentanyl patches are hidden in the house right this second, I'm going to come home or go home and keep doing the same shit. Like, my mind is going to double back somehow and convince myself that it's not that bad, because that's just what happens. So I did. I called him and I told him. And from that point on, like, I actually gave it a real shot. But what was said to me was, there were a lot of young kids there. I was 30 when I went, or 29, and they were like 20s, and just, they were all talking about how many times they had been in treatment, 10 times, 12 times, 7 times. And they got to me, and I'm like, my first time. They couldn't believe it. They were like in shock. And this kid sitting across from me, he said, "This is your first time in treatment?" And I said, "Yeah." And he just looked me dead in the face and with his hands like this said, "Get it, get it." Or no, I'm sorry. He said, "Please, please, please get it now. Like, get this fucking thing now. Get the sobriety now. Like, don't give it a chance to kill you. Like, this is your first time here. Don't do what the rest of us have done. Like, this is what happens. Do it this time. Like, don't fuck around. This isn't a game." And I mean, in those, like, however many words, that's what he was saying. And that's when I got up and I went inside and I made that phone call and I got rid of those fentanyl pouches. But that was what was happening August 30th, 31st to me going into treatment. But I was taken to a place in Lancaster in, like, a big black SUV, and all the typical normal rehab stuff happened after that. And I had a really great experience in rehab. I was very lucky. I had a very good time. It was like summer camp for adults. I laughed my ass off more than I ever had in a long time. It was like, I don't know, like, for me, it was like, I think what a lot of rehab should have been, and not what I knew my mom and dad had gone through for years and years, and, like, just, like, public places and other, like, shitholes that didn't do, like, I shouldn't say shitholes, but other places that didn't deal with co-occurring disorders and didn't have the right information yet.
I only did
Places
rehab
that,
once too,
really?
and I enjoyed it, but I never wanted to go back.
Well, same.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, maybe for, like, a tune-up, but not because because I need to detox. I don't want to do that shit again.
I didn't know you did refuge because that's now Recovery Dharma.
Yeah,
That's what my wife does, Recovery Dharma.
I really liked it, but it was hard to, at the time, it was hard to find meetings, like, on Zoom, because that wasn't, like, really a thing yet. This was like 8 years ago. So now it's much bigger, and even so in Philadelphia, there aren't a lot of in-person meetings. I went to one with another friend I asked to go with me, and we were the only ones who showed up aside from the facilitator. So
yeah,
it's kind of hard.
Mikey does daily at 9 a.m. every day, and then on Monday nights she does one at 9 p.m. On Wednesday night she runs her own meeting that starts at 7 o'clock, and and these are all Zoom.
I don't have meetings on Wednesdays either, so I should go to one.
I can send you the flyer for like the Zoom information for her meeting. She does one for chronic illness on 5 o'clock on Fridays. She does maybe 2 meetings a week, 2 meetings a day, I mean.
Because I can make those two that you just mentioned, Wednesdays and Fridays. I can make both of those.
Yeah, she really likes it though. She's been doing it for like 6 months now.
I really liked it myself. It really just changed just my approach to myself in terms of shame and experiencing pain and just knowing like nothing is permanent, and just being able to sit and be present and mindful. Like, again, I know that like sounds insane, and it sounded insane to me at the time, but there was a point in recovery, I don't know what point, but it was a couple years in, when I couldn't sleep. And if there's nothing will make me relapse faster than not sleeping. Like, that is pain, and not sleeping were my things that would always send me back. And so I was like, I need to get this under control. And I was having so much anxiety about it, to the point where as soon as my eyes opened, I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight. And that's all I would think about all day long until I got in bed, and I want to be able to sleep. And that's really enough to make you make some not great choices. And so, right, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I downloaded the app, the Calm app, and that kind of taught me how to meditate, like how to build up to it. And that became a really big part of my recovery too, and it still is.
Now, what was your DUI for?
So that was for a car accident that I had gotten into. That one's a little bit tricky because the officer arrested me for being drunk. I don't drink alcohol. He said I smelled of alcohol. He didn't even see the car accident. He showed up on the scene afterwards and just walked up, said you don't look right on your feet, and then put cuffs on me. And that was like the only conversation that we had. I had taken medication literally like 2 minutes before the car accident, so it wasn't in my body yet. So it wasn't what caused the accident, but I still was under the influence. But because it was a medication that I was prescribed, it was within therapeutic limits when they took my blood, and that was actually discharged. The whole thing was done.
Because you didn't have any alcohol in your system.
Well, one, I didn't have any alcohol in my system. That's what he said I smelled of. And two, because the drugs that I did have in my system, they were actually written to me by a doctor, and they were all within therapeutic limits. They weren't outside of what I should have had in my body at the time.
Because you were prescribed fentanyl, right?
I was, but I wasn't on fentanyl for that. That was, oh no, was I? Yeah, I was. I'm sorry. I didn't have any fentanyl in my system that day because I had sucked on all of the patches, so I didn't have any left. And that's why I went to the pharmacy to get my Ativan. So the only thing that was in my system, like that I put in my system that day, was the Ativan. But there was fentanyl, obviously, from previous days in my system still, but all within therapeutic limits. But still, I was, not doing what I should have been doing. I'm not making excuses. I don't want that to come across that I am.
Did you have to go through withdrawals from the fentanyl?
When I was in jail?
When you were no, I meant when you were in treatment.
Oh, when I was in treatment. I had to detox enough to get on Suboxone.
How long
So
did you
I
stay
was
in Suboxone for?
5 years.
5 years.
Hmm.
So you've
And
been.
the 5 years in my 8 years, just to be clear. I do claim that.
Oh no, I would too. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, for sure. What made you decide to get off Suboxone after 5 years of being on it in recovery?
To be honest, this is so fucking stupid. Oh my God, but it's so typical of us. It all started with a purse. I saw this cute ass purse online and I bought it, and then this whole fucking shopping spree started, and I just spent all this money that I shouldn't have been spending, and I kept like convincing myself that I was going to be, I don't know, it got out of hand. And then I saw that you could donate your blood plasma for like a lot of money. So I went to go do it, and they were like, you can't do it until you're not on this shit. And I was like, all right, well, I need money because like my husband is gonna be really mad that I spent this money. And like I told you, he was like, Dad, God, like I didn't want to be in trouble. And I fucked him over a lot. And I didn't want, you know what I mean? Like my mom lent me the money to pay the credit card bill, put her in a really bad position by not telling him. And he eventually found out about it because I came off of it, and after all of that, when I went to go back to donate my blood plasma, they were like, "No, you can never donate if you've been on this because, like, we don't trust that you haven't been an IV drug user." And I was like, "You motherfuckers! I came off of all this shit, and I never got paid a dime for the blood plasma." And then my husband found out about everything anyway. So,
Are
but
you
I just
the
stayed off of it.
So yeah, you might as well stay off of it if you're not having any cravings or anything like that.
Yeah, I didn't have a bad withdrawal from that, and like a lot of people will say like it's worse than heroin, it's worse than fentanyl, and it just wasn't for me. It really was not. It was not a bad withdrawal. And withdrawing from um I withdraw from the Butrans patch, which is one half of what's in Suboxone. And that also was not a bad withdrawal for me. That's just the buprenorphine in that. That was also like a fine withdrawal. Like coming off of opiates in pill form and fentanyl was harder for me. But the worst, the absolute worst, benzos.
Yep.
Absolutely horrible.
Are you still off of them today?
Yes. Yes. I don't take any of that. I take my psych meds. I take my meds for my fibromyalgia. Sometimes I take a medication that is used in rehab a lot, doxycycline or Cinnamon. I take that for sleep if I can't sleep, but I rarely take that because I sleep fine right now. I think that's it. Oh, and Cymbalta for my fibro. That's it. Those are all my meds.
That's not bad. It's a
Yeah.
lot better than taking Ativan or Xanax or Valium or I came off that in April and
Oh,
I was like taking 40 milligrams of Valium a day and I suddenly stopped and I took off of work for a month. Um I didn't call out every day. I did
oh yeah.
FMLA and did short-term disability for the month until I could get back to feeling better. So I did 30 days off and took that time. I started going to AA again every day. And I think it's a lot over mind over matter when you're coming off of meds. I mean, you can die from benzo withdrawal. Like you can have a seizure and it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Um, it's crazy. The two most dangerous things to come off of suddenly are alcohol and benzos. And benzos are some of the most prescribed medication out there.
And
Um,
alcohol is so prevalent.
what's that?
And alcohol is so prevalent.
And it's so like in your face commercial wise. No matter what you're watching, there's a commercial. If you're scrolling, I talk about alcohol all the time, and you know how your phone listens to you. So
Yeah.
my phone shows me alcohol ads all the time because I'm constantly talking about alcohol. But their phone doesn't know you're negatively talking about it. They just hear the word alcohol and show you ads.
Yeah.
So I always do this is spam. Like I hit the 3 dots and I say this is spam and they show me less.
That's a good idea.
So because I just get inundated with like alcohol ads and it's fucking annoying.
It is annoying.
So you're from Philadelphia,
Yeah.
born and raised.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I didn't live too far from Philly. I lived 6 minutes from South Philly. I could see the entrance to the Walt Whitman Bridge, like at the end of
Oh,
my street.
really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, like right at the end of my street. It was. I'm sure you've heard the Black Horse Pike.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I lived off of.
Oh, okay.
So I lived right over the bridge.
Gotcha.
Instead of making a turn towards Camden,
Yeah.
you take that exit until it ends, and it
Mm-hmm.
drops you off on the Black Horse Pike in Audubon.
Okay. My cousin lived in Gloucester, so I know
Oh,
like
I was right next to Gloucester. Yeah, Gloucester City.
yeah.
Yeah, right
Okay.
outside the city. Yeah, I lived right next to Gloucester.
Gotcha.
Um, like it was at the end of my other street. Was Gloucester. It was right around the corner from me. So very familiar with Gloucester. One of my friends actually from high school, he was like the first one to buy a house,
Mm-hmm.
and he bought a row home in Gloucester,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like party central there.
Oh yeah.
Because he was like, I had my own, I was the first one to get an apartment and he was the first one to buy a house. So both of us had nonstop parties all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was just mayhem back then. But you were never a drinker?
When I turned 21, I went out and I hit the bars hard. Definitely did. But I didn't drink outside of drinking hours. I didn't drink outside of like bar and club time. I only drank socially. But then like when I met Jack, my husband, I was just like done with the bar scene. It was just not a problem. It was very easy to just like was not an issue. Yeah, so I don't even know
Your mom
why.
was an alcoholic, right?
My mom is in recovery, but not from alcohol, from drugs.
But is she
But
not?
my mom doesn't drink, but my dad drank. He was an alcoholic and a drug addict.
So do you think that kind of steered you away from it for a little bit, like during high school and shit?
Yes, definitely. Oh my God, definitely. I did not drink in grade school. I did not get into trouble. I didn't smoke weed. I didn't start smoking weed until I got sober. I love saying that. It's kind of funny. But yeah, no, I was a good kid by all accounts. I didn't get in trouble. I stayed away from all that stuff.
I quit smoking weed when I quit benzos.
Okay.
I kind of challenged myself. You know, I figured if I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna do this right and quit everything and not have any crutch because I was afraid because you know how expensive the dispensary is.
Yes.
And I was afraid that I was gonna lean too heavy into smoking once I quit benzos. So I figured I might as well, since I have this month off, I can lose sleep and it won't matter. I might as well try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and see how long I can go. And it's been 7 months. It's been
Really?
7 months. It's been 7 months. I still haven't smoked.
Congratulations. That's great. You should be really proud of yourself.
It's the longest I've gone since I was 13 and I'm 38.
Wow.
So
That is easy.
at 4 months, it was a record. So right now I'm almost double my record.
That's really good.
Whatchamacallit? I had a question for you and I just lost it. Oh,
Sorry.
why is December 13th such a prominent date for you?
Okay, so December 13th. Well, first of all, it is Taylor Swift's birthday, and 13 is her favorite number. And when I was being interviewed for the Inquirer about Swift Steps, I I had to fact check my overdose date, and I didn't know it. And when I went and I checked the hospital records, December 13th was my overdose date. So not that like it's a fun coincidence or anything like that, but like in the process of being interviewed my very first time about the recovery community that I had created that was centered around Taylor Swift and Swifties and just like Swiftydom in general, to go back and fact check my overdose date for that article and it ended up being her birthday, which is kind of like an invisible string, which is also a song of hers. So
Yeah, and let's talk because you did not have Swift Steps the last time we talked 3 years ago.
no,
I have been a guest on your show, which I got your little care package. Thank you. I am looking right at the stickers that are on my desk. You matter. My life matters. My favorite one's a little pill bottle. Don't forget me. I had them on my desk. I'm looking right at them. So now you have a group on Facebook called Swift Steps.
yep. It's called Swift Steps, the recovery community for Swifties. And we have a Facebook group and we have meetings 5 times a week. And you can come to as many as you want or as little as you want. But to be a member, it is $40 a month, and all of the meetings are included. The Facebook is included. There's a chat. There's just like a ton of support. On Monday night, we do a women's meeting. On Tuesday nights, we do the meeting that you came and spoke at, which is a Speak Now meeting because Taylor had an album called Speak Now. So for our speaker meeting, it makes sense it would be called that. And we have people come from other shows, other recovery communities, and just, people just in our recovery community in general come and they tell their story for about like 20, 25 minutes. And then if they're fans of Taylor Swift, they weave in, how she may have played a role in their recovery. And then for the next half hour, we kind of just have like a regular meeting. And then on Thursdays, it's just our check-in. Saturday mornings, we do a song prompt breakdown where we take one of her songs and we break it down through the lens of mental health, addiction, recovery, and whatever you might be dealing with in your life at that moment. Because, you hear a song at one point and it might mean one thing to you, and then you hear it at another time and you hear it in a completely different way. And then we all just kind of talk about how we experience the song. And it's really cool because nobody really ever experiences it the same way. So that's a really great meeting. That's my favorite. And then on Sundays, we have a gratitude meeting. So that's kind of what we've been doing. And we're about to add a fitness class, a free fitness class. And the Tuesday night class is free too. So we do have free things. But yeah, I don't know. It's just been really fun and magical and been really wonderful for my recovery. I've done more work on my recovery, I would say, in the last 8 months with Swift Steps than I think I've done in 8 years. It's just been an incredible journey. And I can't wait to see what comes next. And I just hope that all the Swifties who need it find me or I find them. It's just been a great journey.
And how did you come up with this?
So I went to the Eras tour. And I could not get tickets. And I just went down and I hung outside the link like everybody else. And was it at the link? I think it was, I don't know. One of the
Probably was.
Yeah, I think it was the link. And we could hear some of it. And so we were all singing along and it was just like the best environment. I never felt more safe physically. I never felt more safe. Like in all the ways, like it didn't matter if you were a boy wearing a dress or makeup. It didn't matter what era you were wearing. It didn't matter what race. It didn't matter what religion you were. Like just none of that mattered. It was just like Swifties supporting Swifties. Do you want to trade bracelets? And everybody was happy for those that could get in. And the moms were outside, in the parking lot hanging out with the other moms so their daughters could go in. Like it was just such a great experience. And I thought like, everybody's accepted here. And I feel like this is the closest to Barbie Land I'm ever going to get. Like, if you've seen the movie, you know what that means. And I thought, like, how cool would this be to have a recovery community where everybody could come no matter what you were struggling with your recovery, whether it's codependency, drug addiction, alcohol, sex addiction, trying to stop smoking weed, like whatever it is, Even if you're just utilizing harm reduction, or you're just trying to drink less, or you're sober curious, or you just want to be a support to someone in your family, it doesn't matter. You're welcome. You just can't be a Taylor Swift hater. And you can't expect to come into our community and say things like, you should really get off that maintenance. You should only be on that for like 6 months. Like, because that shit just doesn't fly. We believe in harm reduction in our group. And we don't tell anybody what is recovery or what is sobriety. Like, that is a personal journey.
That's awesome.
I came up with it.
And when did you start it?
That started in March. Yeah.
So about 9 months ago.
Yeah, I guess about 9 months ago. Yeah. Really
Well,
wonderful.
by the time this comes out, it'll be 9 months.
So
I don't see you slowing down anytime soon.
hope not.
And how can people find it?
So you can go to www.swiftsteps, SWIFT, steps.org, and that will lead you.
Wait, you froze.
Yeah, that was weird. I blacked out for a second.
All right, so swiftsteps.org.
Right, so you can go to www.swiftsteps.org, and there is a link there where you can join the mailing list, or you can be taken to the Facebook group. But you can also just go on Facebook and search us by Swift Steps 13, and you can search us on any other socials at that same handle, at Swift Steps 13.
That's awesome. And I'll put the link in the description as well for people if you're watching and you're not already a Swift Stepper. You grazed over a little bit. Your mom is a recovering addict and your dad was a recovering alcohol and addict.
Yes.
That's a lot to see as a kid.
Yeah, my dad, he overdosed and passed away when I was 11 from an opiate overdose. But he was a raging alcoholic, and he took like kind of anything, but his main things were opiates and alcohol. And my mom, yeah, definitely used opiates and benzos as well. It was a lot. There was a lot of trauma and violence and craziness and just like complete complete like unhealthy behavior by like everybody around. Not really what you would want modeled for a young child. So yeah, that's a lot. Some days I'm like, damn, I'm doing great. Amazing that I'm even here.
Well, if you want to hear more about the trauma, go to her other episode on the unlicensed therapist, and we talk trauma for a solid hour. We probably could have talked for longer, but I try to keep that one under an hour.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Well, it's a therapy session. You know what I mean? Like, and therapy is an hour, so I try to keep it around an hour. Some of them go less, some of them go more. You know, I try to keep it an hour, but I'm also not going to tell anybody to stop talking.
Of course.
You know, that show is still new to me. So you were, I think, the second guest or the third guest. So you were on early on. I think you were the second guest.
Yeah, I was the second.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I'm still recording those. I'm recording one right after this. So I'm keeping myself busy. I have right now we're in the middle of December. So like today is December 13th. And I'm releasing an episode every single day from Thanksgiving Eve to New Year's Day.
Oh my gosh, you really give yourself a challenge.
I was going to just do Thanksgiving to New Year's Eve, but the day before Thanksgiving is a Wednesday, which is when I release new episodes anyway.
Oh, okay.
And then New Year's Day is on a Wednesday. So I'm just going to go Thanksgiving Eve to New Year's Day. And it's like 35 or 36 episodes in a row.
Wow.
Oh, in September I did 30 for 30. So I'm trying to give myself a challenge to do 36 and 36.
That's awesome.
So I
That's really
appreciate you coming on again,
Thanks for having
and
me.
don't be a stranger. I appreciate every time we talk.
Me too. And congratulations again on your time. That's really, really fucking fun.
Thank you. I'm working very hard. I do NA every day at noon, and I do Gamblers Anonymous on the weekends. So, because in Pennsylvania, sports betting became legal 5 years ago. And
Mm.
in the last 5 years, I've spent an ugly amount of money on FanDuel. And the worst part is FanDuel kept track of your winnings and your losings.
Oh God.
So if it's I was down when I quit gambling, I was down $9,500.
Mm.
I had
Does that
spent
still bother you today?
what?
Do you still think about that today?
Yeah, I think about it every Saturday and Sunday when I'm in when I'm in GA.
Like
I
wanting to catch it back up?
well, um, it tells you how much you've spent and how much you've lost, or how much you've won. I'm sorry. So the difference was $9,500. I spent 55 grand
Mm-hmm.
and I won 46 grand. So when you even it out, it comes out to like $9,500 that I'm down. And I am done chasing that number. I'm
Good
done
for
trying
you.
to mitigate it. I am taking a year off from sports. As much as I love hockey, and it's the baseball playoffs that are happening right now as we're recording. Football season's in full swing. Basketball season just started. It's like the perfect storm for betting. And if I can get through this like month or two, then I can really breeze through until next July when I celebrate 1 year abstinent, because it's clean, sober, abstinent.
Yeah. And you're
It's
not really a drinker, right?
what?
Are you a drinker or not really?
I haven't had a drink in over 4.5 years.
Okay.
I'll have 5 years without a drink because I was a huge drinker. I am an
Oh, all right.
alcoholic.
So then, all right. So then this is like everything at once for you.
Well, okay. So April 25th, 2018 is my clean date from opiates. Um, February 29th of 2020 is my sober date from alcohol. April 1st of 2024 is benzos and weed. And July 13th of 2024 is gambling.
So what do you have left, if you don't mind me asking? Is there anything left that you need to quit?
Codependency.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But my wife and I do marriage counseling every 2 weeks.
That's good.
So working on that codependency. Um, I see my therapist every 2 weeks, and then it offsets because they can't bill me twice in the same week because I have county insurance. So
Oh,
the county pays for my therapy.
that's great.
So they can only bill me once a week. So now I do therapy every 2 weeks, and then the offsetting weeks, my wife and I meet with a separate counselor
That's
and
great.
work on our codependency. So we have that tomorrow. So yeah, I'm definitely working on myself, and she's working on, like I said, she does recovery Dharma. When we hang up, I'll send you the flyer for her meeting that she
Yeah,
runs.
please, please.
She's starting an in-person meeting at one of the churches nearby every Monday at 1:30.
Mm-hmm.
So she's excited for that. She has like a stack of recovery Dharma books that she got granted. Like they gave
Oh,
her a grant and they
awesome.
sent her out a stack of books. So she is inundated with recovery Dharma.
That's so great. You
But no,
gotta
I was a big drinker for sure. I was an alcoholic since I was 12 years old.
So
Um,
sports, sports, like you're talking about, is that a more difficult time of year for you because it's alcohol and it's gambling commercials nonstop?
yeah, yep, and it's for sure. And that's why I see the ads for it too.
Mm-hmm.
I deactivated FanDuel from my phone, so I can't like see it on my phone anymore. Um, and but the thing is I don't want to gamble anymore.
That's
You
good.
know, the one has been lifted. I don't have that. I don't feel the need to like do it anymore. The
Mhm.
obsession's been lifted. Now just mitigating. It's funny and
Sorry, once the obsession is gone, things become so much easier.
yeah. And in GA, you identify as a compulsive gambler. So I always say I'm JD, I'm a compulsive gambler, I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic. If you name it, I'm probably
Yeah,
it. But yeah, I definitely I'm a poly identifier.
that's a
And
good one. That's
and
good.
it is what it is. I don't let it take over my life like it used to.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, that's the goal, right?
Now I'm just
To,
addicted to podcasts.
well, that's okay. Because you're driving that bus.
Yeah. And these are
Love
like my
that.
mini meetings.
They are. They
So
are.
someone gave me shit and you know who Bill Wilson is?
Hmm. Hmm.
He's the creator of AA.
Hmm.
There's a Facebook page called Friends with Bill, and
Yes.
I'm in that I'm in that group, and that's where I was finding guests for the show. And someone's like, "You're profiting off of AA," and I'm like, "Whoa." I'm like, number one, I pay $9 a week for my podcast. Number two, I run ad free. Number three, this is my sober hobby that I don't get paid any money for, that I pay for. I
Yeah.
pay to run my podcast.
Yeah.
I don't make any money whatsoever. And if you want to complain about people profiting, like there's a magazine called Grapevine where it's all different stories, and it's an AA Grapevine magazine. Anybody in
Right.
AA knows what Grapevine is.
Yeah.
There's a podcast around Grapevine. So I was like, if you want to talk about people profiting off of AA, talk about the
Yeah.
Grapevine podcast because they're doing it way more than I am.
Talk to AA about profiting off of AA, okay?
I know. Yeah, I went off on this rant of like listing things off of how I'm not profiting off AA. And just a bunch of old timers that don't understand shit. I'm
Yeah.
helping people get their stories out there. So like somebody like you or my wife can be on here and say what recovery Dharma or refuge recovery, whatever it was called then. I
Hmm.
know it's recovery Dharma.
Yeah.
So, people like you guys that had different modalities of getting clean and sober without having to go to AA or NA. And 12 steps are for me. I fall in line. I like 12 steps. I like NA. I don't mind AA. I like GA. I only go to NA and GA right now, but I do have an AA sponsor that I see all the time. We live in the same apartment complex.
Oh, that's
So
pretty
like we both smoke cigarettes, so I'll see him outside smoking all the time and we shoot the shit. And we just talk about how things are going. He was just on my show a few weeks ago because he
cool.
wrote a novel. So I had him on my show promoting it.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, you know, everything's going well on my end. I'm glad things are going well for you too.
Thank you.
And if you want to learn more, swiftsteps.org. Nice and easy.
Yep.
Have a great night, Julianne.
Thank you. You too. I'll talk
Bye.
to you soon. Bye.